All right, so we're back for round two, working on the genuine Roughhouse 50, bringing it back to life scooter rescue project. We've decided now it's time to order a new carburetor. I got lucky, I found a gentleman on Facebook. He had a pair of carburetors for the Buddy 50cc two-stroke motors. So one I believe is brand new and the other is lightly used, but they've both been cleaned and serviced. Along with that, he also had air filters, turn signals, and a brake lever. So that's most of the parts that we need to get this back on the road running and riding properly. In addition, we'll probably end up ordering brake pads and brake shoes for it. We may need to replace some bulbs. We're going to need to, at the very least, bleed out the master cylinder. We're going to crack into that another day and see what it looks like, but there's already a lot of white kind of crust up top on it. Probably hasn't had that master cylinder opened since it was bolted together new in 2013. And with that, we're going to dive in today. Today we're going to pull off the carburetor and the airbox again. We're going to go ahead and remove the intake manifold. I'm going to check and clean the reeds that are inside the motor there. So if they look good, I'll just flip them over since I don't know the last time they might have even been addressed. Make sure everything looks good there. If that looks like we need to replace the reeds, then I'll go online, I'll order some new reeds. I think we'll be okay. We'll put that back together. We'll stuff a rag in the intake manifold so nothing can get into the motor while we wait. And then we'll wait a couple days for the new carburetors to arrive. When we come back in our next video, we'll pick up with putting the new carburetor in. He's also got jets in there, which is really nice because with all the sand we found in that float bowl, I'm not sure what the inside of those jets might look like at the microscopic level. What's important when we're trying to atomize that fuel mixture. In addition to cleaning and checking the reeds today, we're going to go ahead and drain the 2-cycle oil out of that tank. For that, I'm just going to use a vacuum pump I have. I hook it up to a 12-volt battery, suck it, and it just pumps all that oil out. I can recycle the old 2-stroke oil. I'll put in some fresh stuff that I pick up this week. I'm also going to drain and replace the gear oil. So I know we need 90 cc's in the back of it. Probably has never been done. So we'll go ahead, we'll drain it out of the transmission and refill the gear oil with some fresh 85 140, I believe. And with that done, kind of button up for today. And we'll come back when we have our carburetor to put on and see if we can get this thing to fire up. But for now, you get to watch some time lapses of me working on this, draining the oil. We'll take a look at what that gear oil looks like. Should be somewhat interesting, but we'll keep this one a little shorter. While we're in here, I figured I may as well take our reeds out. Not too bad, not too dirty. We'll go ahead and we'll flip these around just to make sure, but it does look like if you put the light below them, we don't have, too much leaking through. It doesn't look like they're bad. They don't need to be replaced, but we'll flip the reeds around just to keep that mixture inside the motor once it gets sprayed in. And we can see there's still some debris in here. Could be from when I was taking it out, could be from something else. But we took the carb off, got our readout, we'll flip those around, and then our new carb is going to be arriving in a few days, so we'll get that bolted on when we pick up our video again. And we'll see how the scooter runs with all of that done. Definitely had fuel coming out of the intake side of the carburetor when it was running. Stuck float, just a dirty carb. There was so much sand in that float bowl. It doesn't make sense to try to rehab that little carburetor. I found a gentleman who was happy to provide me with actually 2 carburetors as well as most of all the other spare parts I need. So we'll go ahead and flip these around, put this back in, and put our intake manifold back on the scoot. So here we're going to go ahead, just drain our gear oil by removing that bottom screw. Let everything drain out into a can or another container of some sort. Once it's all drained out, we're going to cap the bottom of it. We're going to come back up to the top, and I've got a syringe here. And we're just going to inject 90 milliliters of our gear oil. Once we've got that filled up to the appropriate place, screw it back in, and we're all done. So here's our setup for draining the 2-stroke tank. Got an old motorcycle battery hooked up to a little electric oil pump. This is meant for draining things on boats and cars. You just shove the tube down the dipstick hole and you can suck it all out. So all we have to do here is reach over, hit the switch, and there we go. It's going to suck all of our oil out into this container so it can be appropriately recycled, and we can make sure that our tank is filled with fresh two-stroke oil. Sure, there's plenty of people who tell you it won't go bad, but I figure it's one less thing that I have to worry about being incorrect on the scooter once we get everything put back together. Here's another shot. There's our manifold plugged. We've changed our gear oil. This is our last stage for today. Get that emptied out, cap it off, and we'll refill it when we come back. Thanks so much for watching. Can't wait to catch you on the next episode when we bolt the new carburetor in and see if we can't get this thing to run the way I really hope it should.